Today's episode of Voiced is from r/Petty Revenge and is about a seat stealer facing poetic justice and a former employee turning the tables on a toxic boss. What clever twists will you witness today? Subscribe if you enjoy.
So this happened to my cousin 2 months ago. He was flying from Ahmedabad to Kolkata on Indigo Airlines. Since he's tall, I made sure to book him an exit row aisle seat well in advance and even paid extra for it. Fast forward to the day of the flight, he boards, finds his row, and sees someone sitting right in his seat. The entire row is filled, but there's clearly been a seat snatcher situation. Undeterred, he approaches the woman in his seat. Let's call her Karen. "Excuse me, I believe that's my seat." "No, there's no way. I always book the aisle seat." "Maybe you're just in the wrong row. Mind checking?" "Look, this is my seat. Maybe you're mistaken." "Cousin, well, my ticket says this seat. Let's check with the flight attendant, shall we?" My cousin heads to the front of the plane and explains the situation to an attendant. She confirms that the seat is indeed his, but instead of escalating, my cousin decides to play it cool. He returns to Karen with a new idea. "I spoke to the attendant. She confirmed it's my seat, but since you seem certain, she's offered me a complimentary upgrade to business class." "Business class, really?" "Yeah, though honestly, I prefer the leg room in the exit row. Would you want to switch and take the upgrade?" "Oh, absolutely." "Great. Just go to the front. Let the attendant know you're taking the business class upgrade meant for the passenger in 13C, and she will get you all set." Karen hops up immediately, smugly grabs her bag, and struts to the front. My cousin finally takes his rightful seat, and as he chats with the other passengers, they reveal they have been irritated by Karen's antics too. He shows them his boarding pass, confirming he is exactly where he is supposed to be. The twist? This particular Indigo flight didn't even have business class seats. My cousin knew that. So when Karen confidently asks the flight attendant for her upgrade, the attendant just looks at her in total confusion. Realizing something's off, Karen storms back, visibly irritated, and confronts my cousin. "Excuse me, you said there was an upgrade to business class." "Huh? Are you talking to me?" "Obviously. You told me to go up there and ask for a business class seat." "Why would I do that?" "Because I was, sitting in your seat, and you said..." "Cousin, why were you in my seat? I clearly have 13C on my boarding pass." He shows it to the attendant, who has followed her back. "Where's yours?" Karen's flustered now, trying to explain herself, but a fellow passenger jumps in. "He's not lying. That's his seat, all right." The flight attendant, now visibly exasperated, politely asks Karen to show her boarding pass. Karen rolls her eyes dramatically, muttering under her breath about the incompetence of the airline staff. She makes a big show of digging through her purse, then her carry-on, and even her coat pocket, all the while huffing and sighing loudly, as if everyone around her were wasting her precious time. After a few minutes of this performance, she finds her boarding pass but clutches it tightly, refusing to hand it over. She then spins around to face my cousin, looking furious. This is all your fault. First, you try to take my seat, and now you've embarrassed me in front of the entire plane." "Ma'am, please just show me the boarding pass so we can sort this out quickly." Ignoring the attendant. "Do you know how much I fly? How often I choose aisle seats because I need them?" She gestures around wildly. "But today, I have to deal with some random guy who thinks he can just barge in and claim my seat?" Her voice is growing louder, and passengers around them are beginning to shift uncomfortably. By now, Karen's frustration has transformed into a full-blown rant, complete with finger-pointing and accusations. She goes after everyone the airline for hiring incompetent staff, the attendant for not knowing anything, and my cousin, who she calls a liar and a cheat. The flight attendant attempts to calm her down, reminding her that they're causing a delay. But Karen is relentless, her voice escalating with every second that passes. She accuses the airline of disrespecting loyal passengers and shouts that she'll file a complaint so big they'll lose their jobs. By now, nearly 20 minutes have gone by, and passengers around her are beginning to sigh and check their watches. Eventually, the captain is informed of the situation and comes over to assess the problem. Firmly, "Ma'am, we need you to show your boarding pass right now, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave the plane." Karen is shocked. Her face flushes as she realizes that her show isn't working. She finally hands over the boarding pass to the captain, who glances at it, then looks back at her with a raised eyebrow. "Ma'am, this says 22B. Your seat is 9 rows back, and it's a middle seat." There's a stunned silence as Karen's face goes pale. She tries one last-ditch excuse. It's so unfair. I'm under a lot of stress, and I can't just sit in a middle seat. I need an upgrade for this horrible experience. Ma'am, either go to your assigned seat or you'll need to deboard. Defeated, Karen finally gathers her things, her face burning red with embarrassment as she walks down the aisle toward her actual seat in 22B. Along the way, she keeps muttering curses under her breath, shooting daggers back at my cousin and the flight crew. Meanwhile, my cousin settles back into his rightful seat, and the flight finally prepares for takeoff. Wow, this blew up. Let me respond to a few comments. Most of the incident happened in Bengali and Hindi. For example, Karen had her pass inside her blouse. Instead of explaining how Bengali women keep stuff inside a blouse, it's easier to say coat. It's a narrative license so everyone can enjoy the story without getting bogged down by cultural perceptions. I wasn't there, yes, but my cousin recorded Karen's rant, hence writing in detail was easy.
Wow, what a ride that last story was. It's incredible how a seemingly straightforward situation can spiral into a cascade of consequences, shaking the very foundation of a workplace. Just like the unexpected twists we witnessed with Karen on that flight, where entitlement met its match, it's clear that sometimes the universe has a way of balancing the scales in the most surprising ways. Now, let's shift gears from air travel drama to a tale rooted in the world of content creation, where aspirations collide with harsh realities and a clever plan turns the tables on some unsupportive leadership. Get ready for a journey through the ups and downs of career challenges and unexpected victories.
This happened in the early 2010s, before the advancement of technology in video editing and content creation. I was hired as a content creator for a university that wanted to leverage YouTube to kickstart their branding campaign. The pay was low, roughly $2,200 United States dollars, and in those days, there were not that many video content creators around, and the process usually took a long time from start to finish. I was hired, and on my second day, my manager presented my key performance indicator of 85 3 to 10-minute videos in 52 weeks, which was impossible for a one-man team in those days. This meant I had to do the scripting, producing, casting talents, shooting videos, composing music. They were too cheap to pay for a royalty-free music subscription, and editing, all of which I had to use my own equipment and software because their cameras and computers were so old, they simply couldn't handle the strain of even doing things in 720p, much less 1080p. I tried to let my manager know, but she just smiled encouragingly, telling me to give it a try, assuring me if the videos were good, the quantity would not be what she focused on. Hearing this, I agreed to give it a try. My manager treated me well in the first month. However, one day when she found out I was a smoker, her attitude changed overnight. A colleague had actually done a facepalm when I told her about it, and she let me know that the manager hated smokers and often advocated to get them fired. She started nitpicking me on everything, from smelling like cigarette smoke after my breaks, coming in 5 to 10 minutes late despite doing more than 4 hours of overtime daily, not being contactable during break times. The list goes on. But I soldiered on because I just wanted to do the work and do it well. 5 months in, I was called into the director's office where I saw my manager putting on her best displeased but gleeful face, and I felt my stomach drop. The director told me that she was disappointed because she had heard that I was falling behind on my work, and it was already halfway through the year, and I had only completed 30 out of my 85 videos. I tried to explain that I had been working extremely hard on these videos. I literally worked 6 days out of the week, over 60 hours, just to do what needed to be done, and that being a one-man army made things impossible. And also the fact that the videos I had put up grossed the highest views ever on their YouTube page. I also recounted how my manager said that she was looking for quality videos over quantity. The director dismissed this and stated that the key performance indicator was simply 85 videos in a year, and since it was almost half a year in, with my numbers at less than half, she felt it prudent to cut the cord early. I asked how would they even meet the key performance indicator if they were to fire me. Now my manager had snorted, saying, "We'll find a professional production house to finish your work." The director had given her an odd look, but nodded in her support nonetheless, telling me, "You don't need to worry, manager will get the job done." That was when a light bulb went off in my head. Seeing as I was the content professional in the office, one of my jobs was to keep a database of production houses to use in the event we needed to do a shoot that required more resources, and I was sure that they would be using the production houses in my database as my manager had no contacts in the production industry. So, I changed the contact numbers and messed up all the emails on all of the entries except one. The one, I had a friend working as a junior director, not an assistant director, but a director assigned to smaller video projects. I gave him a call and told him of my plan, and sure enough, within 2 days, they were called to come in to pitch. I told him that I had a plan that was a win-win for us. It would instantly help him and put him on the fast track to a director position by bringing in that much business to his production house, and it would also benefit me financially. I would teach him exactly how to pitch to win over the boss and the director. And in turn, his company would pay me a standard finder's fee of 15%. He agreed instantly and immediately put me on the line with his general manager, who upon realizing this was to be 6 months of work for a high 6-digit payout, instantly agreed and drew up a contract. As it turns out, after I gave them a metaphorical, step-by-step playbook, they were the perfect fit, somehow understanding the needs and style of the university, as well as the sort of themes the university wanted to feature. The director and my former boss were amazed that my friend's production house was so familiar with their content that they signed them up on the spot. Now, even back then, using a production house was not cheap. Each video that they produced could cost double to triple my monthly salary, given that they had specialized people for each function. Producer, director, director of photography, gaffer, sound person, video editor, assistant director, production assistants, etc. But this meant that they could complete a video every 2 to 3 days. So yes, they produced 50 videos in a span of 4 months for over 100 months of my salary, and I sat back and collected the healthy 15%, which was about 15 months of my salary. This allowed me to put money aside for a holiday, and the rest to further my studies with a respected film school overseas. I thought my plan ended here, and I had gotten back at my former bosses. But to my surprise, I received a call from my colleague while I was holidaying in Bali one day. This was the same colleague who had facepalmed when I told her that my manager had found out that I was a smoker. She told me that my former manager had been fired and my director given a massive reprimand by the chancellor of the university. The content creation project for which I was hired was only given a budget equating to about 1.5 years of my salary, and they had exceeded that budget by over 10 times. My former manager was so desperate to ensure that her content creation project could be completed that she had thrown caution to the wind, paying anything to get the job done so that she could show my director that she had completed the project and had approved the massive expenditure without getting consent from the director. So that is how I got my friend a super fast promotion to a full director in his production house and 1 year of pay after getting unfairly fired from my job.
Before I dive into today's posts, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Wow, what a roller coaster of stories today. From that unforgettable airline incident where Karen got her well-deserved comeuppance priceless, to the clever plot twist of the ex-employee turning the tables on a toxic boss while scoring 1 year's worth of pay, these posts really show us the power of creative problem-solving and resilience. What do you think about these epic revenge tales? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Voiced. If you enjoyed daily high-quality stories, please like and subscribe to show your support.